Every day, billions of people unlock their phones and tap on apps without thinking twice. Social media platforms, games, weather apps, fitness trackers, photo editors, navigation tools, messaging services. Most of them cost absolutely nothing to download. No monthly bill, no upfront payment. Just one tap and instant access. And yet behind those colorful icons are some of the richest companies in human history. Companies worth hundreds of billions, sometimes trillions of dollars. Which raises a strange question that most people never stop to ask. If nobody is paying, then who is covering the cost? Who pays for the engineers, the servers, the offices, the marketing campaigns, and the endless updates? Because businesses don't spend billions out of generosity. They do it because they've discovered something far more valuable than charging customers directly. And once you understand how that system works, you'll never look at free apps the same way again. Because hidden behind every free product is a business model. And hidden inside that business model is a simple question that has quietly shaped the digital world for decades. If the product is free, what exactly is the product? The app economy exploded during the early years of smartphones. Suddenly, millions of developers and technology companies were racing to put software into people's pockets. Today, mobile applications generate hundreds of billions of dollars globally, and some of the most popular apps on Earth are available without charging users a single cent. At first glance, that seems impossible. Software isn't free to build. Servers consume electricity, engineers earn salaries. Customer support teams need resources, investors expect profits. Nothing about technology is cheap, yet somehow free products dominate the digital world. Most people assume the answer is simple, advertising, and they're partly right. Ads certainly play a major role. But advertising alone doesn't explain why these companies have become so powerful. Because behind the visible layer of banners and commercials exists something much bigger. An entire economic system built around attention, behavior, and prediction. And the deeper you look, the stranger the picture becomes. Because the software itself was never the most valuable asset. Human attention was. Years ago, technology companies discovered something extraordinary. Human attention could be converted into money. Every extra second spent inside an app created another opportunity to display an advertisement. Every additional minute scrolling generated more revenue. Suddenly, engagement became currency. And that changed everything. Features that looked harmless suddenly had enormous financial value. Infinite scrolling wasn't an accident. Push notifications weren't random. Autoplay videos weren't simply conveniences. Endless recommendations weren't designed purely to help users. They were carefully optimized to keep people engaged. Former employees from major tech companies and independent researchers have repeatedly explained how platforms constantly test and refine their systems to maximize user activity. Because more activity means more opportunities for monetization. But even that isn't the most fascinating part. Many advertisers aren't paying only for clicks. They're paying for predictions. They want to know who is likely to buy something before the customer even realizes it themselves. Which means collecting information isn't enough. Understanding behavior becomes the real prize, and that hidden layer changes everything. Most people believe apps collect only basic information, names, emails, passwords, maybe birthdays. But modern platforms often analyze thousands of signals. They measure how long someone watches a video before scrolling away. Which posts receive attention and which are ignored. What users search for late at night. Where they spend their time. How frequently they shop. Which music they enjoy. When they sleep. Even the speed at which they type can sometimes reveal patterns. Individually, these details seem meaningless. But together, they form something incredibly valuable. Behavioral profiles. Not because companies necessarily care about individual secrets, but because patterns are powerful. Artificial intelligence systems can study millions of people and identify trends that help estimate future behavior. They can determine which audiences are more likely to buy products, watch content, or engage with advertisements. Suddenly, recommendations begin feeling strangely accurate. Users often joke that their phones are reading their minds. In reality, prediction systems have simply become extremely sophisticated. And surprisingly, many experts argue that raw data itself isn't always the most valuable asset. Prediction is. Understanding what someone might do tomorrow is far more profitable than knowing what they did yesterday. But here's where the story becomes even more surprising. Because some of the world's biggest profits don't come from advertising at all. Many free apps actually lose money on the majority of users, and that's intentional. It sounds absurd. Why would companies willingly support millions of people who never spend anything? Because they've discovered another powerful formula. A small percentage of users generate most of the revenue. In gaming, streaming services, dating apps, and countless digital products, only a minority of customers spend significant amounts of money. Some purchase subscriptions. Others buy premium features. Some spend hundreds or even thousands on virtual items. This approach became known as the freemium model. The free version attracts millions. The premium version generates profits. But the real genius isn't forcing people to pay. It's making payment feel optional. Nobody likes pressure. Nobody enjoys feeling trapped. So companies create experiences that feel generous. Free access, free features, free convenience. And slowly habits form. Daily routines emerge. Users begin relying on these services without realizing it. Then one day, premium features appear. Additional storage, better quality, more customization, enhanced experiences, not necessities, just tempting upgrades. And because habits already exist, spending money feels natural. But even money isn't always the biggest advantage. Because the most powerful asset companies can create isn't a purchase. It's dependence. Imagine waking up and using one company's email service, then opening its calendar, uploading photos to its cloud storage, using its maps for navigation, listening to its music, paying with its wallet, storing files on its servers, watching videos through its platform, messaging friends through its apps. Individually, each service feels harmless. But together, they form something far more powerful. An ecosystem. And ecosystems create invisible walls. Not because users are forced to stay, but because leaving becomes inconvenient. Photos need transferring. Contacts need exporting. Passwords must change. Subscriptions need canceling. Entire routines require rebuilding. Economists call these switching costs. They aren't physical barriers. They're psychological and practical obstacles. And businesses understand this extremely well. Social media platforms benefit from the same effect. People stay because their friends are there. Their memories are there. Their communities exist there. Walking away means abandoning years of digital history. A small business owner might start using free email tools, free maps, free review platforms, free analytics, and free advertising solutions. Eventually, the entire company depends on one ecosystem. At first, everything felt free. But over time, dependence became valuable. And dependence creates long-term revenue. That's why some businesses are willing to offer incredible services without immediate profits. Because loyalty is worth more than a quick transaction. And consumers rarely notice this process while it's happening. But as these ecosystems grew larger and more influential, governments around the world began asking difficult questions. Regulators started examining privacy practices. Competition concerns became impossible to ignore. Around Europe, the introduction of GDPR forced companies to rethink how personal information was collected and managed. Other countries introduced their own frameworks. Technology giants suddenly faced pressure to explain algorithms, improve transparency, and give users greater control over their information. Courtrooms, government hearings, and public debates became regular headlines. Questions that once belonged only to technology experts entered mainstream conversations. How much information should companies collect? Who owns personal data? How transparent should algorithms be? Can competition survive when a handful of companies dominate entire ecosystems? Yet these debates also revealed something important. The business model itself isn't automatically evil. Free apps have transformed modern life in extraordinary ways. Families separated by oceans communicate instantly. Small businesses reach global audiences. Students access educational resources once available only to wealthy institutions. Navigation systems save time. Health apps encourage better habits. Entertainment reaches billions. The benefits are undeniable. The issue isn't necessarily that companies earn money. Businesses have always earned money. The issue is that many people don't understand the exchange taking place, because nothing is truly free. Sometimes the price is obvious. A monthly subscription, a purchase, a fee. But sometimes the payment is attention. Sometimes it's personal information, sometimes it's years of loyalty. Sometimes it's dependence on ecosystems that become increasingly difficult to leave. The smartest consumers aren't necessarily those who reject technology. They aren't people who throw away their phones or disconnect from the modern world. Instead, they're people who understand incentives. They understand how businesses earn money. They recognize why certain features exist. They know that convenience and profitability often go hand in hand. Because understanding incentives changes everything. Suddenly, endless notifications make sense. Recommendation systems become easier to understand. Premium upgrades reveal their purpose. Ecosystems expose their advantages. And once you understand why companies behave the way they do, you become better equipped to make informed choices. Perhaps the most fascinating part of this story is that none of it happened through a grand conspiracy. These systems emerged because they worked. Businesses followed incentives. Investors rewarded growth. Consumers embraced convenience. Advertisers chased better results. Technology improved, artificial intelligence evolved. And step by step, an entirely new economic model appeared. A model where attention became currency, behavior became data, prediction became power, and free products became some of the most profitable products ever created. Which explains why the digital world looks the way it does today. Free apps have changed modern life in ways previous generations could barely imagine. They connected families across continents. They helped entrepreneurs build businesses from bedrooms and garages. They provided education, entertainment, communication, and opportunities to billions of people. They solved problems that once seemed impossible. But behind every free product lies a business model. And understanding that model changes how we see the technology surrounding us every day. Because once you understand who benefits, you begin to understand why things are designed the way they are. So here's the question. Do you believe free apps provide fair value in exchange for our attention and data? Or do you think most people still don't fully understand the real cost hidden behind convenience? Share your thoughts in the comments because this conversation affects every person carrying a smartphone. And if you enjoy uncovering the hidden systems shaping our everyday lives, consider subscribing. There are plenty more surprises in store.